Well, hey there, YouTube. It's Kyle with Kyle's Creations. I just wanted to bring you a little bit of a video today. I'm sure a lot of you guys out there, rebuilt carburetors and stuff like that. If you haven't, it's a good way to start working on engines. But this was one that I have never seen before, and it kind of threw me for a loop when I saw it. And I did not do. I've already rebuilt the carburetor. I did not do a video on the rebuild strictly because I've never done one before, one of these cars, and I didn't want to, make a video claiming, oh, this is how you rebuild this carburetor. I've never been through it, so it was a little bit of a process for me too. But I also have to say, this is out of a Yamaha, 1987 Yamaha tt350. Which I believe the tt350 was only a 2-year bike, 86, 87. But I had a heck of a time finding the carburetor kit for this thing. And there's just, you can get the base gasket for this part. You can get the, the gasket that goes over here and a couple of seals and a jet, and that's about it. And I looked and I looked and I looked. I couldn't find anything out there, but out there, this is, I'll put that there so you guys can see it. That is for the tt350, which just by looking at the picture and all the parts and pieces in it, it was darn close. It had all the important stuff in it, all the jets. One of the big things too is this little guy right here, which is like an accelerator pump or a power valve, which gives a little bit of extra fuel. It opens up another chamber of fuel inside of here when you get, half throttle, 3/4 throttle. It had all the pieces that you would need. All the gaskets, all the, the base gasket, head gasket, all that stuff's the same. Pretty much had everything that you would need to rebuild this carburetor. Had a couple extra little pieces. The float needle was a little different. The top was different, so that was, used the old one. It was still, the tip was still pliable, so we didn't bother with that. The needles were a little bit different, the angles on them, so we didn't use those. But it came with all the emulsion tubes were the same, everything, So, like I said, it's really good. But the thing about this carburetor is it's really weird. It's a standard style carburetor. Let's see here. We'll get you guys down here a little bit closer. A little less me, a little bit more carburetor, huh? Okay, these are the interesting things about this carburetor. For starters, this side of it is your standard style. When you pull on the cable, it pulls up on the slide, okay? This side is your CV carburetor, your constant velocity carburetor, meaning that the slide operation is based on vacuum pressure, okay? It picks up vacuum pressure through this head. There's a diaphragm up here that picks up on the slide. And you can also see here, when you open the butterfly for this one, when you pull the slide up, it opens, it's hard to do, it opens the butterfly here. That vacuum pressure, when you open that up, it creates pressure and it lifts the slide up in this side. Typically, you'll have either one or a bank of carburetors like this, or one or a bank of carburetors like this. It's really weird to see them together. I've never seen it before. I've been rebuilding carburetors for probably 15 years or 20 years now on motorcycles. I've never seen this combination. And I believe what they're doing is most carburetors like this, on your bigger engines, like your like your bigger quads and stuff like that, and your bigger dirt bikes, like on a Honda 300 or 400 EX or the XR 600. they all have basically, like, this is an XR600 carburetor, standard style pull cable with the slide. Inside of here is where this, a little deal like this is. It's a little power valve, and it's built into the system. So basically, when you get up to a certain you know, when you get up to a certain flow, it opens up another, you know, valve inside of the carburetor, lets more fuel in. This, like, especially this one here, and this is the interesting part, like this XR and a lot of your Yamahas, your YZ450s and the Raptor 660 and 700 all have dual carburetor. A lot of them have dual carburetors on them, and you know, they'll do either two like this, or you know, two like the CV carburetor. You know, and it's a single cylinder, but they've got two intake ports and two exhaust. Well, this bike has two intake ports and two exhaust, and this is the weird design that they chose. Apparently, according to what I can read, because I had to do some reading on this thing to try to figure out, because I've never seen it before, apparently these are a pain to dial in and get the bike just running perfectly. Also, another reason why I haven't done a video, you know, didn't do a video on rebuilding it, because I have no idea how this is going to go. You know, I did my best to kind of keep everything. Float levels, I guess, are really important on this, all that kind of stuff. And the interesting part is, as you can see here, oh, let me get something to point with. This is on the bottom of the bowl, and there is a tube, which, by the way, there's a tube here, and a tube here. You want to replace those because they will leak. This stuff's all, this is the old material, and it's rock hard. Anyway, the bowl fills up, and in the bottom of this bowl is a little pathway that goes and fills up in here, and there's a jet inside of here, because there's a needle that goes up in here. There's a jet inside of here, so you take this bottom piece off, and this bottom piece is actually hollow. It'll fill up gas all the way down inside of here. And so there's another, so what happens is, this opens up a little bit, you know, get to like half throttle or a little over quarter throttle, and then it starts to open up this slide, and then in case then puts fuel through here and puts it through the other intake. And I haven't looked at the head. I don't know if the two intakes on the other side after they go into the head, if they're connected in some way, or if they have their own strict paths. I mean, there are valves for both, but do they have their own strict path, or do they share a pathway? It's just weird. It's very different, and you can see, like here, when you do this, oops, other way, it pushes on this little lever here, which opens up that. So it's about, it starts to push on it, and maybe a little over quarter throttle. Then, of course, too, the choke on this thing, as far as I can tell, is this little plunger. So it's kind of like a primer bulb, and you would, you know, pump this up to get some fuel in it. Of course, I got this in a box. I got this whole bike in a box, so I'm not 100% sure where everything goes. I've got the book. I've got to look, but I believe this is where your fuel comes in, but then there's a port here and a port here, and I don't know if those are vacuum ports or fuel ports. So I'm gonna have to do some research. I'm gonna have to look that up. But basically, again, I wanted to show this to you guys today because this is freaking weird, and it's just, yeah. There's some adjustments here as far as you can adjust this nut and this spring that'll help you. It'll adjust the engagement of when this comes in, you know, a little earlier, a little later. So we'll have to play with it. If you've ever tried to dial in a carburetor, you know, especially for a bike that, you know, you're trying to bring back to life, you know nothing about, you don't know where it came from, how it was jetted, you know, for where it was, elevation, temperature, all that kind of stuff, it can be a pain. You can take a carburetor off a bike 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times before you get it just right, you know. And according to what I've read, this is going to be a nightmare. You know, the combination, it's one thing to get this jetting set up just right, and then you've got to get it set up with this, and then the way this opens, when it opens, you know, I am not looking forward to that. So anyway, there's just a quick little video. Wanted to show you guys this thing. Again, you know, if you really want to see this carburetor rebuilt, I'm sure I'm probably going to have it apart at least once more before the bike's running perfectly. You know, let me know. You know, we're in the process of rebuilding this entire bike. Just waiting on some engine parts and get that engine put back together, and we'll go from there. But thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in a bit.